In this video, we are going to discuss what a Pluto transit will mean through the houses. When Pluto transits the first house, this is going to have an effect on the 10th, the 4th, and the 7th house. So from every which way, people's reactions towards you are going to be extreme, either good or bad. You can attract a lot of jealousy, hatred. A lot of people will look up to you as well. But this is a very, very strong indicator for transformation. Your looks will transform. What you do will transform. A lot of times you will go through extreme changes during this time, especially when it conjuncts the degree that your ascendant is. You could become very mysterious, a loner, very secretive at this time. You can also attract a lot of people that do not have your best interest at heart. A lot of jealous people, a lot of people that are out to get you. But you can also start to feel like you're invincible and also create scenarios, which aren't good for you. So you have to be careful because this, kind of like anything that gives you a lot of power, it has to be used wisely. The power that you're given has to be used wisely. Your appearance might change, whereas you might start dressing more provocatively, more mysteriously. This is going to completely transform your life. You may have transformation after transformation. You may have friends and business partners who are going to literally let you down. A lot of people in your life might let you down, might use you for things at this time. And each time that you own your power and you change your life, you're going to change completely. It's going to be like a 180-degree change from the person that you were prior. So this is a lot of times you'll see somebody with Pluto in the first house or Pluto transiting the first house. 10 years later, you're going to see they're a completely different person than 10 years back. The changes are very noticeable and people will notice the changes within you. And you're going to project them to the outside world. Especially this is going to highlight other people. When Pluto transits the first house, all other people that you attract also will be different. Anytime you're going through this transformation, you're going to attract different people with each transformation. The reactions you get from people are different. This is extreme. People will either love or hate you. For some people, this can be a little bit harder to accept, especially if you are a people pleaser. You will invoke emotions in people that, they didn't even know that they had. So you will inspire some, and some you won't inspire, So, and the reactions can be extreme, which is for a lot of people why it seems hard. This first house Pluto transit, it seems harder for them because they're not used to getting these kinds of reactions from people. Pluto transit has two phases, the breakdown phase and the phase where we are rebuilding what was broken down. The Pluto transit is like an undercurrent, so you will most likely feel it when it conjuncts, squares, or opposes a planet, especially when it's on your ascendant. But Pluto transits are felt most when they're actually connecting to the degree of your ascendant, or they're squaring to the exact degree of another planet or an opposition of that. Pluto conjunct a planet will require an adjustment in that area of life, like a new way of being. When it is square, it is creating a friction, adjustment. Opposition brings in more adjustments, but they're brought on from others. Other people are the catalyst for the adjustment needed. So right now, Pluto will be transiting Aquarius. So say Pluto is transiting 3 degrees Aquarius. If you have any planets in the 4th and 10th, so in Scorpio or Taurus at 3 degrees, Pluto will square those. And you will see the friction. Pluto squares are very much felt. In fact, sometimes they're more intense even than their conjunctions. So you will feel them. And there's going to be friction in that area. And the thing is, it's a long transit. It could go back and forth over that degree a few times. But you will mostly feel it when it's exactly to the degree. So you have to know the degrees of your planets. The opposition, for now, if you're an Aquarius ascendant, will be, any planets in Leo will be affected by the opposition. This will be coming from other people. Other people will see their deep fears in you, which is what will bring on the strong reactions that you get from people. It can be from business partners, from the public, from your spouse, from your intimate relationships. The push and pull, the ups and downs in relationships will probably be happening now, especially for those of you who have any planets in the 7th house. 7 houses away from your Pluto transit will involve other people in this dynamic of change. You will transform from within, gain inner strength, and then your outer exterior will show it to the world. You will reveal yourself more confident over time. So the Pluto transit will be very intense, also filled with drama, but also very powerful. So you are transforming yourself, the way the world sees you, and what you bring into this world as well when it transits the 1st house. Pluto transiting the 2nd house is going to rework your self-image, self-confidence, the money that you make, and your possessions, how your possessions make you feel secure. What does make you feel secure? What doesn't? This is the 8th house from the 7th. It could also bring a breakdown of a marriage, of a relationship for some of you. Now, it depends if you have planets in the 2nd house, how this will affect you. This is like an undercurrent. But anytime a planet will transit and connect in degrees to Pluto, you will feel this. You will feel it in 2 stages. Pluto kind of gives drama to the house that it transits. So you can feel it in the breakdown phase and then the reconstructing phase, where you become better at this is exactly why Pluto is transiting there. It is your soul's journey to transform that area of life. It is something maybe you haven't paid attention to or wasn't that important, and now it will be important. So finances, security, possessions, family, all of that will be very important. It could come with taking away your security, your money, losing money, having to go through bankruptcy, losing a job, a source of income. But it could also, at the end of the transit, rebuild a huge amount of wealth. So it can do both. Really, when transiting the 2nd house, it can lead you to financial losses and huge financial gains, but it will push you definitely into making money. There will be different ways that you can make money, and the self-confidence that your things and money bring you. What really does bring you security and self-confidence, your self-worth? Are you charging what you should for your work? That is all from the 2nd house, all your self-worth. So how you feel about yourself, the image you think, you bring to the world will be shown here to you over and over until you realize your self-worth. The oppositions will really be felt, especially when it comes to other people, power and control and jealousy issues, when it comes to money, family, resources, how you share responsibilities. So especially when Pluto is, say, at 3 or 4 degrees in the transiting your 2nd house. So any planet at 3 or 4 degrees in the 8th house is highly affected. These will really be felt. It will be like an opposition and like somebody's fighting you for something. So any planets in the 5th and 11th house will also bring in a square aspect where there's tension. So tension involved in creativity, family, romance, children, and 11th house groups, friendships, any clubs that you belong to. So those areas will all be affected with a 2nd house Pluto transit. I think a lot of times we worry about the place where Pluto will be transiting, but sometimes you may not have any planets. Say you have no planets in the 2nd house, but you have planets in the 5th and 11th. This Pluto transit will actually play a more important role when it comes to the 5th and 11th house, when it forms the square aspect to those planets. When it is conjunct, squaring, or opposing a planet, it is really going to be felt. So the area of children, romance, friendship, other people and your resources with other people, this will come into play just as much as your self-worth and the money that you make in a second house Pluto transit. Pluto transiting the third house will affect your relationship with your siblings, your neighbors, your coworkers, and any interests you have. You may become obsessed with your interest, take on new hobbies, and speaking your mind will be very important to you. In fact, anytime you won't be able to speak what is on your mind and how you feel, you may become more moody. This is definitely a time where relationships with siblings may take a different turn. Maybe there will be conflict with siblings or something going on in their lives that affects your relationship. It can affect your hobbies or any classes or schooling that you are doing at the moment. And also it can make you feel like your neighborhood is kind of always up and down, like you're fighting with your neighbors or that the people that you live around. This is an undercurrent transit that will be there for a very long time. While it is transiting your third house, it will be mostly felt when it conjuncts a planet within literally 1 degree. That's when you'll feel it the most. Say you have Moon in your third house, your relationship with your mother and family may be revisited, reworked, moving, or just your emotional stability can be going through ups and downs. If it's your sun, it could be your body, your health, your career, your public image. If it's Venus, it could be your relationships, relationship with money. So all that comes into effect. So you can't just look at Pluto in the third house, because sometimes we have no planets in the third house. But when Pluto, the transiting degree of Pluto, squares or opposes a planet in the other houses I'm about to mention, you can really feel it in those other houses even more. You can feel, so a transit to a house isn't it. You know, you have to look at the whole big picture to kind of get what you will be experiencing when Pluto transits. Whatever degree Pluto is transiting in your third house, if you have any planets in the ninth house at that degree, that will be highly affected. Your relationship with your father, any court proceedings, schooling, traveling, speaking to foreigners, your relationship, in school, with teachers, with the law. Also, the 12th and 6th house. So your relationship to work, co-workers, your health, and your subconscious beliefs, your 12th house. So if you have any planets in the 9th, 12th, and 6th house, look at the degrees of those planets. And then when you watch for the Pluto transiting those degrees in your third house, then you can connect the two houses and how they will play out. From the 12th and 6th house to your third, it will be a square aspect. So there will be some confusion. There could be confusion and some push and pull in the areas of your unconscious beliefs, of work, with health. In the ninth house, when it is opposing a planet in the ninth house, this could be coming as jealousy, as power and control over parents, teachers, your schooling, or with mentors. So, or anything when it comes to legal proceedings as well, any kind of contracts and paperwork. So the push and pull and power and control of Pluto will play out in those houses just as much as the third house. Pluto transit, the fourth house, will affect your family bonds, the relationship you have with your family, any family or childhood trauma. There can be discord in the home, within the home, changes of residence. You can keep on moving from place to place and not feel settled in your emotions during this transit. Problems with cars, vehicles, the acquisition of cars, or just general problems or having issues with getting a car or how to use a car. Sharing a car with somebody can also be a prominent theme, but generally your emotions, what makes you feel secure, your family bonds come into play right now. And the ups and downs in this area will be very much noticed, especially if you have planets sitting in the fourth house. This is like an undercurrent. And the Pluto transit will really put a lot of ups and downs at first into the area that it's transiting, and later transform and rebuild your sense of security, your relationship with your family. So it does bring a lot of drama into the house that it is transiting, and also the people that the house represents. So literally your family members, the people that you live with, your mother, your close one-to-one relationships. But this is especially going to be felt if you have, say, Sun, Moon, or Venus sitting in the fourth house right now, 2024. Pluto will be entering the sign of Aquarius. The sign opposite of that is the sign of Leo, which is your 10th house of career and public image. If you have any planets in Leo, you will really feel this. And when it comes to control, jealousy, the power dynamics between work and family, how your work life is affecting your family life, how work is affecting your family, or what career you choose based on what your family needs from you. This will all come into play right now. So definitely it's important to watch the degrees that Pluto is transiting, because that's when it will be felt most, when it comes into contact with planets. This will also affect your first house. So you will attract very jealous and controlling people right now, because it will square your first house, and it will also square your 7th house of business partnerships, relationships, your spouse. So this is affecting your career, your home life, you, and your partnership. So this is a huge deal. When Pluto transits the 4th house, it will not only transform your personal life at home, in your home, or just moving, but it will transform relationships. It will transform you and your career and career prospects during this 4th house transit. It's really important to establish good communication with Pluto transiting the 4th, because just naturally, people who are born with Pluto in the 4th house generally say that they experience arguments and violence in the home. So good communication is really needed here, so that no one experiences that during this transit. Now, that's not to say anyone will, because not everybody will experience this, especially, but when you do have planets such as Sun or Moon sitting in the 4th house and Pluto will transit these, there is a more likelihood for arguments within the family home. So establishing boundaries and clear communication is really important. With Pluto squaring the 1st and 7th house from the 4th house, also looking at the 10th house, can have a propensity to make you feel more jealous when it comes to your partners, your business partners even as well, but especially within relationships and family members. So it's important that you guys understand that if you are feeling this way, it is because, of course, it's looking at the 10th house. It is to push you to your wants. You know, a lot of times it's things like that that come up within us because we want something to change, to transform something, which is what Pluto is all about. Pluto transiting the 5th house will bring up issues with children, romance, intimacy, creativity, hobbies. It is also the house of the higher mind. So here we become a little bit more obsessive and we want things done a certain way, and it's hard for us to accept any other way. You are going to become more charismatic, more magnetic, especially when it comes to relationships and love. This Pluto transit can also make you more serious, where it is hard for you to enjoy the little things. This can bring up issues with children, if you have any. Some of you might be having children during this transit. That might be your creative transformation, is to have children. But you can have difficulty with children, or children can act up, or difficulty with the way you want to raise children, especially with your partner. An intense, intimate relationship is likely to pop up in your life with a Pluto transit in the 5th house. A lot of these are likely to break up by the time it leaves, but this is such a long transit, and it's not for everyone that it will, but it is an intense connection that you can form right now. Intimate connections will now bring in forms of manipulation, jealousy, and power struggles into the relationships. This is especially true if you already have planets in the 5th house or the 11th house even. Creativity will be at an all-time high, and it is the highest form of good with a Pluto transit to the 5th house is to let your creativity out into the world. You can become more athletic, get into sports, also have a propensity to become obsessed with your hobbies. Things that interest you, you can now turn into a business because you will be literally obsessed with creative pursuits, creative hobbies. You can attract partners who can be obsessive, manipulative, very jealous. And that's a clue that you have something to work out in the area of love and romance. Remember, Pluto wants you to transform. So it is an undercurrent always in the house where it is transiting. It will be most felt with other planets conjuncting it, or eclipses happening in this house, but you'll definitely see a stronger propensity for these big romances or feeling more romantic, but you're going to attract to you the way you deal with intimacy. So if you do not deal well in love relationships and intimacy, Pluto will try to transform this by giving you people that you'll need to transform this with issues of jealousy, manipulation, even stalking. Things like that can happen with a Pluto 5th house transit. Now, this could be you or your partner. When Pluto is transiting the 5th house, it is opposing the 11th house. So if you have any planets in the 11th house, especially you can watch the degrees as Pluto goes and watch your 11th house. This will also transform your 11th house, which is what? The love that you receive from other people, groups, friendships, organizations, your social media. So say you are putting out a creative project out into the world, you're going to be highly affected with how people react to what you put out. 11th house is also your friendships. A lot of times I have seen this. Friendships and intimacy can become clouded now, and there could be an intimate encounter with a friend, or maybe a friend turns into, a lover or something more, or power struggles with friends or within the groups and organizations that you belong to. Maybe even power struggles and fighting with people on social media, or them having strong reactions to you. When Pluto opposes the 11th house, you can also make friends, become friends with people who are very plutonic, Scorpio-like, very mysterious. There could be loss of friendships or huge transformations when it comes to your friendships. Pluto in the 5th house is affecting your higher mind. So you can become more controlling, detail-oriented. And when it's looking at the 11th house, you want to control the way that people see you. Control them with your creativity, your outlet. Maybe a lot of you can become more charming. So you want to bring people to you, This is also a placement of wanting to be the center of attention. And with Pluto is about power and control. So you can really some people can even manipulate, to get the attention onto them. Now, that's of course not going to happen for everyone, but I have seen this play out. Pluto transiting the 5th can also give rise to disagreements and arguments with your partner, your spouse, about how to raise children, what is best for them, and the way everything should be handled. That is a lot of times where the possessiveness, the jealousy, the power and control can come in when it comes to your children and their upbringing. So when Pluto transits the 5th, it will square any planet that you have in the 8th, and it will also square any planet that you have in the 2nd. It's important to watch the degrees. But I felt the squares so much when it was transiting. When Pluto squared my Venus, it was so intense. And of course, it goes over that degree when it retrogrades, and it stays for a long time. So say Pluto is transiting at 5 degrees Aquarius, and you have an important planet in your 8th house, such as Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, or in the 2nd house. So in Taurus or Scorpio, if you have any planets in Taurus or Scorpio right now, and it will be transiting Aquarius, you will have a square from Pluto at one point of this 5th house Pluto transit. And you guys will feel this It will be dramatic. It can be dramatic. If it is squaring your Venus, it could be dramatic things happening within relationships, or you fall in love, or someone falls for you. And it can be such an intense feeling, intense emotion. If it is your moon, it could have something to do with your home, family, children. If it is your sun, it could have something to do with your ego, your body, the way you look. You want to transform your body, or maybe even with career prospects. So self-esteem even. So the squares can be felt and they can be dramatic. So when it's squaring a planet in your second house, it deals with finances, self-esteem, and fifth house, romance, intimacy, creativity. So think of those two things being at odds with each other. Or the eighth house, when it is squaring anything in the eighth house, it's transforming and having like a push-pull when it comes to finances of your partner. So in essence, with Pluto transiting the fifth, it is trying to transform all those areas in your life, especially if you have planets in those houses. In the second, 11th, and 8th, you will feel this Pluto transit even more when it squares the second or eighth house or opposes the 11th house. Pluto transiting the fifth house is best used for creativity. Find something that you're passionate about and really just create. Have your creativity take over and share your creativity with the world. It is an important time to find hobbies that you love and be creative, so that all those more destructive forces don't take over. Remember, transforming the fifth house, the house of love, romance, creativity, is all about you and how you want to do it. So you do not have to have any power struggles if you don't want to. It is, where do you put your energy to? If that's where the energy goes, then your transformation in that area will come from relationships. Or if everything goes to children, then your transformation can come through children. If everything you're putting out there is for creativity and hobbies, your transformation will come from there. It could come from everything I just said as well, but you are transforming the way that you love, the way that you create right now. Pluto transiting the sixth house. This is going to transform your day-to-day habits. The employees that you work with, people that work under you, people that work above you. How is your relationship with food, your relationship with your body? Pluto here wants to literally transform every part of your health and day-to-day habits. Now, a lot of times people knock the sixth house, but it is really the house that actually makes everything happen. If you think about it, people who become huge stars, huge businesses, they are all built on the backs of doing daily little things every day to get there. So it's like taking something, a creative force from the fifth house. And the sixth house is where you make it work. You actually make it work so that it can go into the seventh house and present to the public and be presented to other people. So this is what the sixth house is about. Right now, it is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. So Pluto in the sixth house can give a tendency to start working out, become almost like a workout freak, enter into competitions. People can become competitive with you as well, especially in the workforce or with the people you work with. There can be push and pull, jealousy with coworkers, but also with just the people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, like being blamed for things that you're not responsible for. People want to blame you for things. This is the house of service. Also, what kind of service are you giving out? Are you servicing the world? Are you even in service to yourself? Does your day-to-day activities work? Or do you need to change things? Do you need to change your diet, your health regimen? This is all what you're going to be experiencing right now. Right now, it will be in the sign of Aquarius. So I would say, watch your bones, or breaking bones, watch your teeth. But also Pluto in the sixth house can create eating disorders because people become really obsessive with their eating, their daily habits, and it can create eating disorders. Sixth house is about stamina. Even when it comes to intimacy, all of a sudden you have way more stamina here. But this is really, how strong are you? How powerful are you against your enemies, competitors, and even against yourself? The decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, how can they make you stronger and make you transform? So we think this is like a mundane house, but this is really huge because it is up to you to transform something so you can put it out there. So especially if you are in a creative field and Pluto has just left or is leaving your fifth house, you were able to maybe turn a hobby into a business, and now you are going to make it work. How are you going to make it work so that it is presentable to the public? What are you going to do every single day to make this work? What are you going to do every single day to change your eating habits, your daily habits, your exercise habits, your work habits, how you deal with people on an everyday basis? So this is what this is about. It is trying to transform this area. And sometimes, it's not as happy because people can start problems with you. You can have a push and pull and jealousy problems with the people that you interact with the people that you work with. Also, competitors coming at you, or people blaming you for things that aren't your fault, where you need to defend yourself or defend others. It is also the house of service. Number 6 in numerology is ruled by Venus, and the 6th house is the house of service. Think of the service industry. When you get your hair done, you get your nails done, all that stuff is so important to us, right? But someone is servicing us. What do you bring to the table when it comes to helping other people? Would you like to help other people? Whenever I see people going through a transit, or even like when you read cards and the 6 comes up, that means this is a time when you can literally find a purpose. It is a time when you can find what you are meant to do. The house of service. How can you be of service to others? How can you help others? And it is a time where you can find out that you want to be a healer. When you have problems with Pluto in the house, that means that's where you need to transform. So if you have problems with health, with your body, you need to transform it or find another way to transform it. When something's not working, you need to try a different route. When you have problems with colleagues or day-to-day activities, that means you need to change something about that area. Pluto is like the undercurrent, so it is always there, the energy is there, but you're not going to feel it on a day-to-day basis as much as you think, unless you have planets in the 6th house or in the 12th house opposing it. But you really will feel it most when other planets transit this house, when eclipses happen here. That's when you'll really feel it. You will unconsciously know that you are working through this house. Now pay attention to the transit of Pluto, the degrees it's transiting, because Pluto will aspect the 12th house. It will be opposing your 12th house from the 6th house. So if you have any planets in the 12th house, this will really affect you more. The 12th house is your subconscious mind. Okay, it can bring on people who talk about you, enemies, losses, but it is your subconscious mind. And foreign places of worship. So this can really signal you literally transforming unconsciously your belief systems to better your health. This is so important. How you think, do you have positive thoughts, negative thoughts, and how can you transform these thoughts? So right now with it going into Aquarius, if you have any planets in the 12th house, it would be planets in Leo. If you have moon there, Pluto is going to transform your family life, where you live, your subconscious thoughts about your childhood, how you grew up, your mother. So this will all be changing. If it's your sun that's in Leo, it will be changing your image, your career, your, the way the public views you. On top of it, transiting the 6th house. So it is really important to see aspects of a Pluto transit, because when Pluto opposes exact degree of a personal planet or squares an exact degree of a personal planet, it is extremely felt. It is felt even more than just the transit in the house. Watch what the planet rules. The moon rules females. So if you have a moon in Leo right now, you can have problems with females, or they could start acting up, or maybe jealousy coming from females. If it's the sun, it would be males. So definitely watch for that, because that is actually how you can really see what is going on from a Pluto transit, is what planets it's actually aspecting. 6th house Pluto transit will square any planets that you have. Right now it's going into Aquarius, so it will square any planets in your 9th and 3rd house. So any planets in Taurus or Scorpio will be squared, and that's causing tension, friction. So think of friction and the planet that you have in your 9th house or your 3rd house. If it's Venus, maybe you have in Scorpio or Taurus, it's going to create friction in relationships. There's something going on, some strong relationship dynamic, even though it's transiting your 6th house. When Pluto squared my Venus, it was felt way more than the house transit. So really watch the planets. This won't be happening for the whole 20 years, because Pluto transits are generally felt when it's the exact same degree. So if Pluto is transiting 3-degree Aquarius, if you have a Venus or moon at 3 degrees Scorpio or 3 degrees Taurus, that's when you'll feel it. That's when you'll feel it the most. So watch the degrees of the Pluto transit to know, when you have things coming up that might be a little bit more challenging. So the 6th house Pluto transit is trying to teach you about the 3rd house, where it's squaring. What self-efforts are you taking? What are you learning? Where are you putting your effort in? So that then you can change your daily habits. And then the 9th house, you can put this out into the world. Bring your gifts out into the world, whether it's through publishing, through education. How can you change other people's lives? And the 12th house, it's opposing that, which means what are your limiting beliefs? And now look back to the 6th house that are stopping you from making healthy daily habits. What limiting beliefs do you have about yourself, your body, your health, your work? What is the limiting belief that you have that will change your day-to-day habits to make you a better person? So that's how you really have to think with a Pluto transit. Pluto transiting the 7th house is going to transform your relationship with the public, your relationships with the people that you work with, your close friends, and your one-to-one relationships, your spouse, your marriage partner. All of those important relationships will be transformed. You can see the push and pull in relationships. Jealousy, you can see some backstabbing and some controlling partners right now. This will attract controlling partners into your life, people who are maybe possessive of you, as well as it can make you feel more that way about your situation, about your partners, about your business ventures. If you are stuck in toxic, one-sided relationships, Pluto will come in here and change all that. It will literally transform your relationships. You can no longer stand to be in toxic relationships, or relationships that don't evolve with you. They don't bring meaning to you. They're one-sided. So you will let that go. The 7th house is also the house of our open enemies. So, a lot of people might be drawn to you because they don't like you. There's something about you that will evoke feelings of either love or hate to people right now. Also, watch out for lawsuits, because this can be lawsuits or with people who are, they're not going to give in. They could get messy here. Fighting with people can get messy with Pluto in the 7th house, because people want to try to control you, or you might try to want to control other people. Your partners may try to control you the way that you think. So a lot of possessiveness, jealousy can be coming at you from other people right now. So while Pluto in the 7th breaks down existing relationships that aren't working, they're bad for you, it also can bring in an exciting new, great, passionate love into your life, or a spouse that you fall madly in love with, a love of like a once-in-a-lifetime love affair. This can be really exciting at the same time, but definitely watch for power struggles, jealousy in relationships. when Pluto transits the 7th, it is going to oppose the first house, you. So any planets that you have in the first house will now be affected. Especially, so watch the degrees that Pluto transits, because right now it will be in Aquarius. So any planets opposing that will be in Leo. So when Pluto is transiting, say, 3 degrees Aquarius, it will oppose any planet that you have at 3 degrees of Leo. And the conjunction, the exact degree, is the most important time. So watch for that. If you have Moon and Leo relationships with females, with your family members, your home life will be going through a big shift. If you have Sun in Leo, it will be your career, your image, okay, and your body. All of that will be transforming. So definitely watch for the planets that are opposing this, because this is really important. It will create an opposition. This is where the jealousy might be coming from, the push and pull of these relationships. Pluto's transit through the 7th house will also square any planets that you have in your 10th house and in your 4th house. So any planets that you have in Taurus or Scorpio will be squared at one point or another by this Pluto transit. And that's important as well, because this will create tension. Whenever planets are square, it creates tension. I remember when Pluto squared my Venus, I felt that way more than the whole Pluto transiting through the house. It is really important to watch the planet. If it is squaring your Venus, there will be tension in relationships. Maybe having a great love affair or meeting somebody that you're highly attracted to. If it's squaring your Moon, there could be tension with the public, with home, with mother, with your children, with your home environment. So watch what planet it is squaring to see where the tension might be coming from. Pluto transiting the 8th house is literally digging deep into your soul and transforming you. Right now, you can be transforming in the area of finances, the give and take of possessions, of money, how you share resources, of life itself. You can be going through some traumatic experiences or maybe healing traumatic experiences. This will be especially felt if you have planets in the 8th house. So this will definitely be transforming you from the inside out. This Pluto transit can bring to the forefront any traumas and pains. This can also make you deal with losing people or letting people go. This is the house of transformation, and you're transforming everything right now. Now, Pluto is comfortable in this house. This is like the underworld. This is what this house is about. This can bring into questions of intimacy. Who do you feel comfortable and vulnerable with? Can you feel comfortable with certain people, or should you let certain toxic relationships go? This is the house where you and your spouse meet intimately and you join your finances together, the give and take. So are these relationships working? Are you giving too much? Are you giving too little? All these questions will be coming to the forefront to you as it's transiting here, especially if you have any planets in the 8th house. You're going to really feel this. So this is transforming you literally from the inside out. You can be really drawn to thrillers, the occult, poetry, psychology, anything that has to do with the human psyche right now. When Pluto transits the 8th, right now it's going to be in Aquarius. So it will oppose any planets in the sign of Leo. So your 2nd house, any planets that you have in the 2nd house of your chart will be opposing Pluto. So watch the degrees of Pluto, because say Pluto is transiting 3 degrees of Aquarius. If you have any planets at 3 degrees of Leo, this will really affect you. This will transform you. The opposition is literally opposition, jealousy, and things coming from other people. It's when other people get involved in this Pluto transit that you'll feel it the most, especially when it comes to personal planets such as Sun or Moon. If it's opposing your Moon in Leo, it will transform your public image, your house where you live, your family, and female figures in your life, female figures that are important to you, or maybe even through pregnancy or through marriage, anything dealing with family. If it is opposing your Sun, your public image, your stamina, your career path will be transformed through Pluto in the 8th, because if you have any planets in Leo, right now, Pluto will also transform it from the sign of Aquarius. The Pluto transiting the 8th house, right now it's happening in Aquarius. for the next 20 years. So if you have any planets in the 11th or 5th house, which will be in Scorpio or Taurus for right now, this will at one point or another from this transit square these planets. This will create friction and it will really be felt. This is why everyone's transits is different, because at different times it will square, oppose, or conjunct a planet. This is when this Pluto transit will be felt the most. It will create opposition, friction. This is what will create the transformation. So if you do have planets in Taurus, Scorpio, or Leo, this is where the transformation will come from the square or opposition or the conjunction of these planets. So definitely important to know what the planets mean. If it's moon, it's your public image, your family dynamics, maybe pregnancy, marriage, and with the 8th house dealing with possessions and intimacy. If it's your sun, it could be transformation of your career, yourself, the way you are seen to the outside world, your public image. If it's your Venus, it could be your relationships dynamics, and your relationship with money. So it's important to watch the planets and what they are squaring and opposing just as much as what house Pluto is transiting in. So while Pluto is going through your 8th house, your 11th house of groups, friendships, social media, causes, what you want out of life will change, as well as your 2nd house. This will also transform your possessions, the money that you make, the money you share, family dynamics, and your 5th house, love, romance, and intimacy. So an 8th house transit will really transform all these houses, because at one point or another, it will square, oppose these houses, especially when there is a transit or eclipses going on over there. You're going to feel this a lot more at that time. When Pluto transits the 9th house, this is going to transform your belief systems, how you feel about the world, how you feel about yourself within the world. So you may want to even preach to people. This is the house of publishing, religion, spirituality, as well as foreigners, foreign travel, education. So you can become transformed through education. Maybe you are the teacher, you become the teacher, and you are teaching something that transforms the masses. The 9th house is the global world. So what do you have to give to the global world? So you can have work published. The 9th house is also the law, so going through an important court case or being involved in a humanitarian cause that changes humankind. So this is really important. You guys can pick up a book and learn something and just change your whole belief system now. Maybe the belief system that you grew up with is changing right now. You are living through something and your belief systems are changing. You meet somebody who introduces you to a new way of life, a new belief system, new thoughts, new thinking patterns. This can also mean that you travel a lot abroad, and you have life-changing circumstances. You transform your life through foreign travel, through different countries. Maybe you decide to move to a foreign country. You decide to study something at a university that literally changes the course of your life. You become passionate about your hobbies right now, and you literally want to even teach people. You want to preach to people. So it is important to not be too stubborn right now, because people might feel like you are trying to preach to them what you've now learned. But you can definitely come across important spiritual teachers at this time. You can also have some push and pull within your father, or his life is transforming right now. Pluto here wants to transform your higher mind, how you think, how you feel, how you interact with the world, with people. So spirituality will come into question, education, politics, how you interact with other people, and definitely moving to a different country or foreign travels is going to be important. So if you have a chance to take a trip, do it, because this can literally transform your life. Sometimes we go somewhere and we meet people, and because of that one day, one thing they said, we decide to go on a completely different path. This can even happen with education, with reading a certain book. So it is important to keep an open mind during this transit, because you can be transformed through literature, through education, and through the teachings of others, as well as you can also now transform the lives of other people. When Pluto transits the 9th, it will oppose any planets that you have sitting in the 3rd house. So right now, with Pluto going into Aquarius, it will oppose any planets that you have in Leo. So watch the degrees that Pluto transits, because when it is an exact degree, oppose, square, or conjunct a planet, this is where you're going to feel Pluto the most. This is where the transformation will come from. The 3rd house is about learning something, your self-efforts. So taking something that you've learned and using your self-efforts to maybe publish something, to start a social media company, to write a book, to put something out there into the world that affects everybody. When Pluto transits the 9th, it will also square any planets that you have in the 12th house and any planets that you have in the 6th house. So right now, from this Pluto and Aquarius transit, these will be any planets in Taurus or Scorpio. So this is also transforming your 12th house, your hidden and subconscious thoughts. How do they play into what you can do? The 3rd house and the 6th house, your daily habits. What kind of daily habits do you take to make your dreams and passions come to life? Remember, these are all the houses where self-effort is involved. The 12th house, your creativity that you can bring in literally through dreams, and realizing your dreams in the 3rd house by putting it into, a workable skill, taking classes for it. And the 6th house, making it work daily. So the 9th house, you can now put it out into the world. So this is how the Pluto transit connects to every other house. Pluto transiting the 10th house will literally transform your ambitions, your public image, your career, and what career you want to go into. This can literally have a profound effect on you. This is the 10th house, the highest point in the chart. This is where you are visible to people. It is a cardinal house, so it is a house that makes stuff happen. These are huge points. When something transits the 1st, 7th, 4th, and 10th, these are huge changes. So a huge change could be coming in the area of your public image, your career, maybe starting a business of your own, changing the way you look completely. You guys are going into a different dynamic, a completely different time, and you can be transformed through either losing a job, starting something on your own, changing a job, realizing your worth. What are you worth? What is your time worth? How does the public see you? Do you want to change how the public sees you? If you are thinking about going into business, a career change, this is the time. Pluto wants to transform you through career, through public image. There can be some ups and downs with coworkers, with business partners at this time, with the public. The public could sometimes give you a hard time because they expect a lot from you, and that's how you're going to transform as well, especially if you have a business right now. Or with the law, judges, people like that can give you a harder time right now. You can have clashes with these people, superiors right now, because you are transforming. Sometimes it takes that push, that pull, somebody pissing you off at work to be like, forget it, I'm going off on my own. And that is exactly what Pluto is trying to do. Watch the degrees that Pluto transits. Right now, it's transiting Aquarius, and it will be for 20 years. So from your 10th house, it is opposing your 4th house of home and family. So if you have any planets in the sign of Leo right now, at one point or another during this transit, Pluto will oppose these planets. If it's your moon, it's your public image, your females, the females in your life, also family bonds, your mother. So it can transform these relationships right now. But it's opposing your 4th house. So this isn't just about career. It is going to transform where you live, and how you deal with your family when it comes to career. Maybe a career path will affect your family, or you choose a different career path because you have a family, or because you want to have a family. Something like that can be coming up for you right now, and you'll be thinking about this more. Or how does your career affect your home life? Pluto transit in the 10th will also square any planets that you have in the 1st or 7th house, causing friction. So right now, with a Pluto transit in Aquarius, it will square any planets in Taurus or Scorpio. So watch for that, because when Pluto squares a planet, it is highly felt. It is like this tension where you must do something. If it's your Venus that it will square, it will have something to do with relationships. So you combine the planet and where it's transiting. You combine the houses. So this will really affect your 10th house, your 4th house, your 1st and 7th house. All of these houses will be affected by a Pluto in the 10th house. Pluto transiting the 11th house will transform your friendships, any groups that you belong to, any creative projects that you're putting out into the world, your social media, how you interact with people online, your hopes and dreams. It will really transform this area of your life, and it can do it through the push and pull, Pluto, the underworld, through maybe harsh friendships, realizing that some friendships need to go and some new ones need to come in. You could attract a lot of scorpionic, plutonic friendships into your life. Also, you can be part of groups, some healing groups, or you can really get into the arts right now, especially when it comes to social media. The 11th house is the love that we receive from other people. So you can be receiving harsh criticism, enticing you to make this change, or you can just involve yourself with causes that are very important to you, and those that no longer serve you will have to go. Pluto will definitely be transforming every friendship that you have. It could also transform the life of your older sibling, if you have any, or the relationship that you have with your older sibling. When Pluto transits the 11th, it will oppose any planets that you have in the 5th house of creativity, romance, children. So your one-to-one romantic relationship is going to also change. There could be more jealousy, more possessiveness in relationships, or you can be transformed through a romantic relationship. Your children could be having more opposition maybe at this time, especially if they are older. So right now, any planets that since it will be transiting Aquarius, any planets in Leo will be in your 5th house. So watch the degrees that Pluto is transiting, because when it's the exact degree that it is opposing a planet, you will really feel this transit. Pluto through the 11th house will also square any planets that you have in the 2nd and the 8th house. So right now, since it will be in Aquarius, any planets that you have sitting in the sign of Taurus or Scorpio will be squared Pluto at one point or another. Watch the exact degrees, because that is the exact time that you're going to have tension in those areas. So especially if it's a personal planet like Sun, Moon, and Venus. So it will really affect your 11th house, your 5th house, your 2nd and 8th house. So your possessions, the money that you make maybe from your 5th house, hobbies and creative interest. Your 8th house of intimacy will be also transformed, as well as your friendships. So a Pluto transit really transforms so much more than just the house that Pluto is transiting. When Pluto transits the 12th house, this is going to transform your creative abilities. The traumatic experiences that you may have lived through that you need to rework. Things that happen behind the scenes. How you get your downloads of creativity, your bed pleasures, money. This will transform any kind of foreign travel, any travel, health problems, unexpected bills. This is the house of secret enemies. Pluto here can give you a lot of secret enemies, or people just jealous of you. Jealousy, controlling tendencies coming from other people. So you need to watch for that, and watch how you handle people, and make sure that when you have people in your life, that they are worth having. The give and take with every relationship is important, because the 12th house rules people who are against you. So make sure you understand all your friendships, because the 12th house, your enemies are hidden from you. You don't know who they are. So sometimes it's the very people closest to you that are backstabbing, jealous of you, creating conflict for you. And the conflict is coming out into the open, but you don't know who's behind the conflict. Things like that can transpire with a Pluto transit through the 12th house. But also you can have visions, creativity. You can become psychic. You can become a healer at this time. You can literally get downloads through your dreams. You can feel things. You can feel other people's emotions, and you can transcend through the feelings that you've lived through. You know, rework any trauma that you want to so that you can consciously live a different kind of life. With this Pluto transit, a lot of your transformations will be unconscious. What are you unconsciously doing that is affecting your day-to-day life? What are the thoughts and feelings you have about yourself that are limiting your success in this life? This is powerful stuff, you guys. A lot of people don't think about this, but we need to transform our thoughts, our feelings about ourselves, what we can and can't accomplish. Those are all limiting beliefs, and it's tied to the 12th house. So this is a time when you can transform that. So you can get really into healing, tarot, astrology, learning the spirituality, and this will really help you. Maybe there is somebody, a special teacher that can help transform your life at this time. Okay, so it's not just about creativity, bed pleasures, and things happening behind the scenes, but it is about your internal transformation. How do you transform your thoughts, negative thoughts, into positive thoughts? When Pluto transits the 12th house, it will oppose any planets that you have in the 6th house. So right now it will be in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius will oppose any planets that you have in the sign of Leo. So watch the degrees of Pluto, because when Pluto conjuncts a planet at the exact degree, opposes or squares, this can be felt hugely. And this is why all these houses tie into this one transit. So with the 12th house, it's your subconscious mind. It will affect your 6th house, your daily habits. And isn't that really true? Our subconscious mind really does affect 6th house, what we do on a day-to-day basis. So when you shift and you transform your limiting beliefs, what can you really accomplish on a day-to-day basis? And then squares. It will square any planets in your 3rd and 9th house. So think of it this way. Any planets that now you will have in Scorpio or Taurus will be squared Pluto at one point during this transit. So it's really important to watch this, because this is where the transformation will be seen the most, okay? And look at it this way. Any transformations that you now are able to take care of within the 12th house, your limiting beliefs, your creativity, opposing it is the 6th house. So how can you put that into work? What is standing in your way to put everything that you want into a daily practice? And then the houses it will square is the 3rd and 9th. Any planets in Taurus and Scorpio. So 12th house, limiting beliefs, to 6th house, daily practice, to 9th house, out into the world, with 3rd house. So this transit is really about your self-efforts, the 3rd house. The 9th house, how you can use your self-efforts to put something creative out into the world. 6th house, what can you do on a day-to-day basis to make that happen? And it starts in the 12th house of your limiting beliefs. So what limiting beliefs are stopping you from your efforts, your creative efforts? What's stopping your education? What's stopping you to, become a teacher, to learn something? What's stopping you to change your daily habits? These are the themes that will come up during this Pluto transit for you. I hope you found this video helpful. Like and subscribe for more.